Hey guys, it's Deathbringer. Today I wanted to bring you a tips and tricks guide on Army Men Strike. This is probably going to be the first of a few videos, so I just want to get right into it. My first tip to you guys is whenever you're searching for evil toys, make sure that if you're on an Android device, you go left to right, because your screen is a lot wider from here down to here than it would be to just search straight up and down. So you will always find toys and enemy HQs a lot easier if you're going left to right. And that brings me to tip number 2. Tip number 2 is whenever you guys want to try to find a certain level evil toy, try to search around the middle area first, because the way the spawning system works is it will try to spawn everything in this gray pavement area, but since things cannot spawn in here other than certain levels, such as this level 8 or the level 30 duck right here, it will spawn everything else as close as it can get to the middle, so you will most likely be able to find a lot of your evil toys, the maximum level 10 that you can get with your airstrikes, and a lot of the resource tiles that you can get as well. Tip number 3 has to deal with decoding. So when you decode, only spend your files on 4-star hero fragments. The reason why, you can get free hero XP codes from the special operations now that they've reworked it. Tip number 4 actually deals with your events. So when you are trying to do the train units event for your weekly, you should, in my opinion, train as many units as you possibly can all at once, and then wait to collect them until as soon as the event starts. This way you will, within the first couple of minutes of the event, have all 3 of the rewards ready to go, and now you can just train to try to get a higher ranking over the other people that are trying to get rank number 1. Tip number 5 deals with your hospitals. When you are trying to heal a lot of troops at once, I do not suggest actually doing that. Make sure that you only heal maybe 30 minutes to 1 hour's worth of troops at any one time. This way, your core can give you as many helps as possible within this time frame, so that you have to use less speed ups to get the same goal accomplished. The next tip deals with your inventory. Whenever you are in a warring battlefield, as in your battlefield is constantly at war with each other, there is no peace, make sure that you always have an Aegis in your inventory. This way, if you see somebody marching at you at the last second, you can still be able to pop your Aegis and save your troops. If you still have to go to the store and then go to buff and buy it, it takes a lot longer to do that than it would just take to hit your Aegis in your inventory, and then you'd be completely safe. Tip number 7 deals with the Mad Scientist. Whenever you guys are in a very active battlefield, you can go to the Mad Scientist and you can actually trace people's lines back to their HQs, and this is a very easy way to find people's coordinates for the next kill event. Tip number 8 is a tip given to me by Michiana MCR. He is our top player in Battlefield 21. He referred me to the Inferno event, where if you save your speed ups and get the final points, then you will win almost guaranteed the 4,000 gold, only because not very many people have the patience to save all of their speed ups and use them all at once. So this is a very, very good way to get an easy 4,000 gold. Tip number 9 is actually pretty easy. What you do is, when you have the quests for defense wins, just try to contact somebody with a secondary account, and this way they can use that farm account to attack your HQ with a single troop, and you will guarantee yourself a defense win without the cost of a whole lot of fortifications or possibly losing the battle. It is a very easy way to get the quest achieved and for you to move on to the next tiers of quests. Tip number 10 is actually a very simple trick to do. Just make sure whenever you are doing a cross-server battle event, or if your core is planning on going to war, try to get everything done beforehand, so that way you're not sitting in the mid-battle and trying to worry about in real-life problems or in-game issues, such as trying to figure out who did what wrong or anything like that. Try to save as much of that as possible for after the battle, because if you get distracted, all it takes is 10 seconds for that Blitzkrieg hero Roger to be able to attack your HQ and make you go from 3 million power down to nothing. Tip number 11 is confirmed by the moderator Gambit. I asked him, if you're trying to attack a player with a lot of fortifications, but they don't have very many troops, and you're down on troops, what is the best way to take out these fortifications. He actually confirmed my theory of artillery, because if you do the research on the trap types and what they're most effective against, there are no traps that are effective against artillery. As he states here, troop loss is going to happen. The traps are meant to kill the troops, but the artillery does not have a trap that is specifically designed for it, so they will take the least amount of losses. This is also a question that was given to me by De La Cruz, and this is just for you, bud. Tip number 12 is also a very easy tip. Whenever you are online for an extended amount of time, make sure that you send all of the possible marches that you have out to gather resources. It doesn't have to be a full march every time, but if you are gathering using 4 marches, that's obviously going to be faster than just gathering 3, and if you're going to be online, then you can instantly send them out again just to keep on gathering. Tip number 13 has to deal with your gather bonus. So when your gather is about 3/4 of the way done, you're on that last 25% of the time, that is when you should use your gather bonus. The reason for this being is when you use the gather bonus on this last amount of time, it will actually use the entire gather time rather than just the time that you activate it. So as an example, if I'm gathering for 2 hours, I wait until the last half an hour and then I activate it, it will actually count that entire 2 hours as having that gather speed on, and it will make it so that your troops will either instantly be headed back home to you, or they will be within a few minutes of being done with their gather, even though it should have taken them even longer. And it will save you about an hour to 2 hours, depending on what you're trying to do, anywhere up to even 5 hours, depending on how fast you gather. Tip number 14 is for the kill event. Whenever you are searching around trying to find kill event targets, if you see a resource plot that looks like this with the red diamond over it, you can attack this, and as long as your hospital capacity can hold the amount of troops that you could have wounded, then you could attack these for free, other than the cost that it would take for you to heal the units. So you would not actually lose any units, and you would still get the kill event points. Thank you to Reaper General Mattis for allowing me to use your resource point. Tip number 15 deals with how to attack a player who has more power than you. So if you spot a player who either teleports into your battlefield through a server versus server event, or if you are in war with another corps, you can still, even if you have low power, attack and win against a person who has up to double your power if you do it smart. You need to make sure that you have your attack and defense bonuses on, and as soon as they send out their contingent of troops, if you have your Blitzkrieg champion, all you have to do is wait about 15 seconds. Then you can send your contingent of troops straight to their HQ, and you will be able to wipe out the troops that they still have inside of their HQ without having to worry about the up to 120,000 troops that they have marching, and you could win that march. If they are not paying attention, you can actually get several hits off this way if you have teleported in right next to them. This way you can sit there and take out all of their fortifications with them having no troops, and you can even actually start farming all of the resources that they have inside of their HQ without them realizing it until they get their troops back, and then your entire corps can rally on the troops that are left, and they will have no defense after that. They will only have the up to 120,000 troops that are within their HQ just from that one march that they sent out earlier. So the last tip of this video deals with reinforcements. Whenever you're trying to send reinforcements to an ally, make sure that you send only what will get there in time. So if you're trying to send all of these troops and you have the Blitzkrieg champion, then that would be perfectly fine as long as he is within that time frame. So I am within that time frame. It would only take me 10 seconds to get all of my troops there. If I do not use him, now all of my troops to get there would take 16 minutes and 34 seconds to this person. Or say that the enemy was trying to attack within 15 minutes. Now I can take off my artillery, I would get there in time. Now say that they were trying to attack within 12 minutes, I would still have to reduce these even further. I could send only raiders or any troop from the commando camp, and that will get there the fastest rather than any of these others, so your troops can get there in time to be able to at least help do some more damage to the enemy. That way they're not just walking away with only 4,000 or 5,000 wounded, you can make it so that if you send a full contingent of high-level troops from the commando camp, you could make it so that they are walking away with 50,000 wounded, or they could just completely lose the siege. So that about does it for the tips and tricks guide for Army Men Strike. If you guys have any suggestions, go ahead and leave a comment, or if you like the video, then please go ahead and leave a like. You can subscribe. I try to do videos about once a week, if not a little bit more often. Depends on my schedule, but for now, that's going to be it. Have a good one.